What is going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Taco Tuesday. Oh, what a joy to be here. You guys set the tone this morning. Oh, how beautiful. What a treasure to be here with you all this morning. Ethereum is mooning over here, right? If I taught in college, wow, school education so important to me now as I'm raising 6 little ones over here and how to educate them, knowing how what it was like for me in the educational system. Very rigid, doesn't offer any type of creativity, or it doesn't reward creativity. It's not until you get out into the real world that really works and adds up. So what are we going at over here? What are we looking at today? We're looking at Ethereum really up 12% today. The question is, what is better? Trading Ethereum versus the dollar or Bitcoin? Interesting that Ethereum is also up almost 11% on Bitcoin itself, right? We were setting this trade up beautifully. Beautifully, we were setting up this trade yesterday, saying it was right, coming right off that support right over there. And Ethereum now making its next leg up against Bitcoin, coming up into this area. The next swing high, above this swing high, Ethereum starts running versus Bitcoin. It's already begun on the trend line break to start running now. But once it takes out this resistance here of that swing high, it'll continue to run. Ethereum dollar on Bitstamp printing a new all-time high here this morning. Ethereum versus the US dollar trading at 1400. Beautiful. Obviously, the plan going forward remains buy any pullbacks. Right now, Ethereum coming back as far as, this probably only be like a 15% pullback into 1200 in that area. That's where you'd be looking to, in my opinion, to be picking up Ethereum and on any pullbacks. That's just my opinion. Right now, though, this is not an area to be buying, as it just makes the new all-time high. Generally, you could see a lot of volatility around that area. Now, price could spike a little bit higher first, and then it could come down off. But let it jump around. Wait for that next consolidation. Wait for that next leg up to get involved. Buy on the way down if you're interested. I'm not saying go out and buy Ethereum. Understand if you're investing in Ethereum, that's different than trading it, right? If you're investing in Ethereum, understand what it is, right? It's a highly speculative project that may or may not work out. The risk side, if it works out, is enormous, being basically the protocol, right? The blockchain protocol of the internet. Not of the internet. It's whatever. The blockchain protocol where everything is built on top of it. Or is it going to be Bitcoin? Is it going to be Bitcoin, which, eventually anything that could be built anywhere else could be built on top of, the third or fourth layer on Bitcoin. And you have to wonder, now that Lightning, right, you saw the Strike app, you could send money instantly to anywhere in the world. Absolutely beautiful. On top of Bitcoin, Lightning Network, layer 2. So there will be layer 3, there will be layer 4. You're looking here at Bitcoin US dollar, and I want you to see over here that you're watching this trend line over here. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion, before we break out over here and price discovery starts in earnest on Bitcoin at this stage in the cycle. Bitcoin looking like it wants to go a lot higher right now, but Ethereum is leading, and that's how it's exactly supposed to be at this point of the cycle. So it's just beautiful to see. It's exactly what we were looking for and expected, right? Does that mean that everyone should just go run into Ethereum right now? If that's what you're thinking this morning, as you see Ethereum starting to run, people like to buy things at new all-time highs. They really do. Now, there are a certain amount of people who during those bear markets understand that accumulating during these bear markets is the best strategy. But there are a lot of people who are attracted to really high prices, right? And that could just beget more and more buying. And listen, there's no narrative behind it. This is so early in the cycle that Bitcoin is still way cheap. Bitcoin's trading at $37,000. That's really cheap. It's not too much of a difference when Bitcoin was trading around 13, 14,000. And I'm like, this is cheap. Everyone wanted it at 8 or 9,000. And I'm just like, this is cheap Bitcoin. It's not too much difference right now. So nevertheless, Ethereum also at this point in this speculative cycle, alt season, and that's all it is in my opinion. Alt season is just Bitcoin, the tide that lifts all boats, rising. And as it's rising, it brings everything with it. About 6 months later is when that all begins. Bitcoin leads from the halving. The first 6 months, Bitcoin is leading. Bitcoin leads throughout the whole bear market. Bitcoin leads everything. Right? Then through the accumulation stage, Bitcoin leads everything, right? And then when Bitcoin has its halving and price discovery starts, last cycle highs are taken out, all of a sudden then everyone's like, oh, well, what about this altcoin and that coin? What could I invest in to perhaps make more money than I could holding just Bitcoin so I could buy more Bitcoin? So it's the Bitcoin that rises. The Bitcoin is what causes the rise throughout the halving cycle. The halving every 4 years in the cycle So anyway, at this point in the cycle, and I like referring to this over here, you can see the purple first cycle, the green the second cycle. This is an average in yellow of the two cycles, and here we are right now, day 252 after the halving, and you could see at this point, this is generally when we start rising up, and Bitcoin technically here, just looking at price alone, and just looks beautiful over here, consolidating after that huge run up. Don't forget, it ran up from 20,000 to 40,000. Price doubled in less than a month. That's insane. So to have this little bit of consolidation over here, now getting ready as alts, by the way, are moving. As alts right now are moving during this portion of the cycle, Bitcoin consolidating. We said that going back, I don't know when it was, whether it was November, December. We said, listen, the next thing we're going to be looking for is when you see Bitcoin consolidating and alts start running. It's, I guess this week, earlier in this week, it was still debatable for some people. When I put out the video on Saturday about alt season being here, that like whether or not alt season had started, alt season has just begun. It's going to get crazy. The question, is right now, what do you trade? What do you trade alts with? Are you trading versus the first dollar or Bitcoin? Today, Ethereum is appreciating more against the dollar than Bitcoin. Just make a mental note of that. You can see Litecoin over here also resuming out. A lot of people are like, well, I can't really see the use case for Litecoin. Well, I agree when you compare it to Bitcoin, right? Nevertheless, it is a decentralized currency that has, it has a decent amount of adoption and market cap, and a lot of people who are looking for that price appreciation right now, looking to speculate, will speculate on mid cap altcoins, Litecoin being one of them. Chainlink, what's it doing today? Let me clean this up. This is really ugly, and I need to get a little better focused over here. So I'm just going to clean that up really quick, and then we'll take a look at Chainlink to see what's next. Because what happens generally right here, right now, as Ethereum is running, right? Ethereum and then Litecoin you see coming up over here. I imagine XRP is up today. I don't even, I took it off my watch list for good reasons, but I imagine it's up today. Let's see. Not really, right? A little bit. Well, not really. How much is that? I don't know. Looks like a decent amount. I don't want to add it to the watch list to find out, but I'm going to do that just because I want to know. I digress. Either which way. Let's go. So anyway, even what I'm getting at here by looking at XRP and saying even XRP is the fact that even XRP will be lifted during this phase of speculation. Even XRP right now, who is facing a lawsuit from the SEC. Were criminal charges filed against the founder? I'm not sure. I know they were in BitMEX when BitMEX was operating illegally. So listen, there are a lot of people right now looking for different platforms to trade on. Be careful what platform you trade on. I don't have any recommended broker that I'm telling you to trade on over here in the crypto market. And if you do so, make sure you understand what you're doing before you invest any money. But don't use those brokers that like you could get around KYC with, in my opinion, something like Bybit or something like that. Be very careful. You could lose all your money. If you could lose all your money. Just be very careful. Like the U.S. government could go against Bybit, and I'm just not singling out Bybit, any exchange like that, and then your money will not be recoverable. So just be careful. BitMEX did, by the way, though, when BitMEX, and this says a lot about BitMEX, a Bitcoin only company. When charges were brought against them, not only did they process withdrawals, they started processing them more frequently than they normally did, than once a day. They started doing it every 4 hours or so. So anyway, know who you're doing business with. Be careful who you're doing business with. I really can't get into like optics and security with you too often because, by doing so would kind of give away mine. Right? So everyone knows that I keep, for example, that I use BlockFi to buy Bitcoin. And it's the only thing that I've used to buy Bitcoin over the past year. And it's phenomenal. I absolutely do love the experience. I've taken out loans against BlockFi using BlockFi platform. But people also know that, well, you could whitelist an address over there. And for 7 days, a withdrawal can be made on that account. Well, that's pretty good security. Well, people also know that they have two-factor authorization, not really such great security. But they also do facial recognition anytime you do a withdrawal. So that's pretty safe in my opinion, right? It's safer than having money in the bank, because you could get to that money in the bank much quicker than you could get to that money on BlockFi, right? So what else? Well, I don't really talk about anything else, and there's a good reason for that, right? Now, whether you're using a party with multi-sig, right, like Casa, and I suggest looking into them, right, if you're interested in really how to secure your Bitcoin. But outside of telling you that, I can't tell you anything else. And, be very careful always on the internet how you act. Do not click on links of people you do not know and trust. And even if you know and trust them, make sure that you're looking at those links and understand where it's taking you to, or don't click on it. Just keep it safe and don't click on it. If you don't know what you're doing on the internet, then most likely you're the security risk. All right. So anyway, that's important stuff, but let's keep going over here. 286 likes this morning as we get going over here. People were saying last night on the comments on the YouTube video, listen, I don't like when you ask people for likes. I don't like that. I love the content. I think you offer amazing stuff, but I don't like when you ask for likes. Well, thanks for supporting the channel, because this channel wouldn't be what it was if you didn't like the videos and other people didn't find out about it and it become this community is. Without you actually liking these videos, this channel would not be here today. And the content, if it's not worth your like, please don't watch. It absolutely is. This content is absolutely really, really, really valuable. It is helping a lot of people. It is, you have to value it. If hitting the like button is too much, or me asking for that, then this is really not the place for you. All right. So I'm going to come over to the start over here from the beginning now, go to the S&P 500. We could see that this is simply not attractive, right? What you could see happening over there is this tight shoot, this tight channel that's coming up. It looks something like this. It looks something like this. And generally speaking, if we break out to the upside on a sharper angle, then probably we'll have some profit taking, right? But until then, the risk continues to be to the upside. And there's no signs of this right now coming off whatsoever. Same thing with the Nasdaq. It also appears to be in this tight channel over here. You can see the behavior over here. And generally speaking, it's going to be a break to the upside, right? A break to the upside where you'll see that eventual profit taking occur on that. And then that would only be probably an interim top on the markets. The only thing that would derail the markets would be some type of, well, something out there that no one's looking for. Let's just leave it at that. We'll continue watching that. Thanks, brother. Thanks, Andreas, for being over here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful family. What a beautiful profile pic. So what else are we looking at over here? Let's look at gold. The DXY first. It's off a little bit today. I mean, this is kind of just our base case, right? We were way ahead of this. Way ahead of this. Someone said yesterday, Alan said, next to Bitcoin, the work that we did last year on the DXY was probably the best work done on this channel. And it's true. No one else, for all of 2020 was as accurate on the dollar. So, or Bitcoin. So there you go. So what are we looking at over now? We're looking to see if this resistance holds over here. You can see that once we get ready for the next leg down, it'll be a break of this trend line. And if that occurs, then we're looking for a test of this low and perhaps taking out that low. On the upside, it remains getting above this trend line over here. That resistance should be resistance. Get above it, get above 92, and all of a sudden we do have a trend change on the DXY. That could be a big deal. Not likely to happen in my opinion. It could happen though. Anything could happen. It's the markets. Gold over here continues. You could see it just continues over here. We should just have this trend line over here, and it's as simple as that now. Moving it up from over here where this failed. Now we're just moving it up over here. When that trend line breaks, eventually gold should be flying. Does that mean that you don't have are we bottoming out over here? Right? Is this a new higher low? Perhaps that would be very healthy. Hopefully it is. Getting above this resistance right over here, then we should see the next leg up if that's the case. Otherwise, just as easy a move into 1770 or the support below. That's where I would start accumulating, looking to buy gold on sale. And let's see if we get that. Let's see if we get that lucky. Same thing with silver over here. It looks like it's getting ready It's getting ready over here after consolidating very nicely. Now doing it again. It's just not ready, but it will be. It's just not ready, but it will be. What is ready and what is moving, everyone's focused on, everyone knows Bitcoin. Bitcoin from here, by the way, it could break out here, and once it breaks out, that's when we should see not only new all-time highs, but really some price discovery to the upside. But right over here, if you get the opportunity, in my opinion, again, I'm just looking at these charts and telling you, giving you my opinion of what it is. I'm not telling you to buy or sell. When I say buy, I would be buying over here. I'm just saying that's not financial advice. I'm just letting you know I would be buying over here. Any move down into this area over here, into this pocket, that's a place to be looking to buy and pick up Bitcoin cheap, you know? But it could get away from you on the upside as well. We'll see what happens. Ethereum, very easy now. Everyone sees Ethereum now making new all-time highs. Everyone's attracted. I have, I know someone who purchased a significant amount of Ethereum, and then they sold it, over the holidays into the January, into the new year, as they thought that Ethereum was really flying. Ethereum was trading around 12, let's call it 1200 around that time, a little bit lower, 1100, 1200. And they thought that, wow, it came up so far so quickly that I did really well, and they sold. Listen, I also can't get into like tax advice with you. I'm not a tax expert whatsoever, right? But generally speaking, if you could hold the asset for over a year, you're only paying capital gains, right? So selling Ethereum over here to buy it back, I don't know how much sense that makes on such a large position. So you have to think about what you're doing ahead of time. If you're unsure, go ahead and use the search, right? DuckDuckGo, Google, whatever you have to do to find out what you're looking for. Same thing when people ask, what's the best, way to trade? I'm not going to tell you how you should run your business either. I'm not a business consultant letting you know how you should run your trading business. If I told you how I do mine, again, it would be just sharing information that the best thing to do is just, when it comes to all security, is just really keep quiet about it. So anyway, let's keep going over there. 594 likes. Thank you for the support. Now let's take a look at what else is lining up now over here. We saw DOT a couple of days ago leading the charge over here, right? Now everyone's eyes have moved over to Ethereum, but should they be back on DOT Bitcoin? Let's check it out over here. I haven't looked at DOT US dollar, right? But what I could see happening over here is I see over here DOT did all of that work over the weekend, right? Huge spikes up over here, clearly moving against Bitcoin, and it looks like it wants to take out new all-time highs as alt season just gets warmed up over here. You see this pullback over here. Is DOT cheap right now, right? I think anything into that area like this, right? Any buys you get into that area continue to be solid, and that looks good. Or you could wait over here for the breakout of the consolidation to the upside. That's generally the safe place to get into the trade. That's what I don't want to say less aggressive. It's still aggressive buying a breakout, but it is crypto during alt season right now. So anyway, that's that. What else do I want to look at? I want to get into FX with you. But before I get into FX, there was another thing that I wanted to check out. So just trying to see what that was. Is it oil? Is it oil? What is oil doing over here? Looks like oil definitely finding support over here and rising back again. Is it attractive into the 54 resistance? Not really, right? Just you hear my voice. It's so uninteresting. It's ridiculous. Let's see what copper did. Again, let me just clean up this chart because it's very ugly. Sorry about that. I do apologize. Got to get this going over here. And yeah, copper over here. I know Giles was looking at this yesterday coming off the area of support. Great. And we talked about why that was a good thing to do, or talked about why it's a good thing to do. How we concur that was a really smart thing to do over here. And now you have this trend line also, and it looks possibly that we might right now, as copper's coming into that resistance, if it breaks out, right? Then that's when it should start running. Will it break out? If it doesn't and you come back into that support, in my opinion, this is the area to be looking. Anything down like that would be a good place to pick up copper. I believe, obviously, we're going to see a lot of what we saw in 2020 in 2021. Probably, well, we'll see what happens. I think everyone at this point has become, I don't want to say a believer in inflation. If you can't see the inflation, then I don't know what to. But we had this argument not too long ago. It was back in March and early April where we would just have this discussion, and people were so passionate and emotional about it. It's really weird that the people that were supporting the whole deflation argument were very emotional about it. So it's weird, you know. And the reason I say it's weird is because how could you have any type of open-minded discussion when you're just completely emotional about it? I don't. So, what else are we looking at this morning? Thanks for the likes. Thank you, Smile. What a positive name. Coming in here this morning to this group was absolutely wonderful. You guys really just help improve my life all the time by making me a better person, and I'm really grateful for that. Yeah, it does. So you know, listen, we have over here 71,000 subscribers. Like, we did this in a little over a year. That's a pretty, you know, I might know a thing or two. And yes, the likes absolutely significantly help the channel. In the few videos in the afternoon when I would ask you, those videos always got way more views. You know, 30 or 40% more views than the ones I never asked you, which was almost all the time. I would never ask you. So then I've been asking for the past few weeks, please, more regularly, could you smash the like button? And it's really helped in the last few weeks, seeing the views over here coming up. So, you know, anyway, it does help. I don't know why we just got into that. Again, people are always telling me, 37,000 on Bitcoin, right? What's going on Bitcoin? Careful. We're into a little bit of possible resistance into this area from where we're trading right now, into that trend line over there. That's all resistance. You don't want to be a buyer up here, right? If you break out, yeah, that's a safer time to buy than it would be buying here right now, in my opinion. And it's the easiest or safest place to buy would be a pullback down over to here going forward. JPM is up again, huh? JPM is eating the world. Why is that? Who's behind USDC, by the way? Who's behind USDC? Is it JP Morgan? Does anyone know that? Because I don't know. You know, you know, yeah. So who do you have more faith in? USDC or Tether? Who do you have more faith in? USDT or Tether? So just catching up on the comments of it. Circle. Who's behind Circle? Wasn't it JP Morgan? Because I'm gonna do a quick search. JP Morgan, Circle. I'm just curious. Love the CTM lingo. No answer on that? All right. Anyway, I'll look it up later myself. I just want to make sure. JP, they own some of MicroStrategy. Who did JP Morgan insiders launch Circle? That's the question. That's the question. I'll figure it out later. I'm just reminding myself right over here, right now. Goldman Sachs. It was Goldman Sachs. Thank you, brother. Goldman Sachs. I digress. You know, they just seem all kind of connected, right? So this is Scott. Scott, were you the person? Has name dropping become a new thing? Do people mention when you talk about other things in life that's name dropping? Yesterday I mentioned that Anthony Pompolano killed it on Real Vision with Raoul Pal, and people were like, "Ah, you're a name dropper." What is that? You're a name dropper. A name, you know, is that a thing that you can't talk about people anymore? Is that dropping names, right? Is that privilege? Is it privilege to drop a name? Anyway, let's keep going over here. Let's get into silver. I don't think too much is going on silver, right? Nope, nothing too much going on in silver. Looking to accumulate. We didn't look at silver this morning as we looked at gold. This is platinum, all right? They can't handle anything. They can't do it. All right. So this is silver. This is a beautiful looking chart. Silver, we did look at silver. We said, like, it's getting ready over here. It seems to be making that breakout and that leg up, but just not ready yet. It remains in this whole area is a good place, in my opinion, to be looking to pick up silver over here, moving towards this upper end of this tight channel it's in. Once it breaks out to the upside, I think that's when silver will start running. What do I've never been on Wall Street Bets. I've never been on there. I've seen Zero Hedge pick up one or two Wall Street Bets. These kids like pyramided on Robinhood options and were just like taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of leverage on a $1,000, $2,000 account, obviously. And some of those accounts for a brief time were up a lot of money. I don't know. I don't gamble. That's gambling, right? Is poker gambling? I think poker is the game of skill, right? So let's go over here. What do we got going on? I want to get into FX a little bit. We haven't talked about FX at all this morning. I'm interested to see what's going on. It's hilarious. I've never seen it. I'll have to check it out. Terry's asking, can I confirm the price in Bitcoin after 38,000 is 40,000 a safe place to jump in? Is 40,000 a place safe to jump in? 40,000 is, I would be, if a safe place in my opinion is once you break out above that trend line. That's, whether or not you're going to have the opportunity for a retest and a resumption, well, probably you're going to see a pretty strong leg up, in my opinion, once we start breaking out from over there. Whether or not this was the leg up that started it, as price started making a higher high over here in this nice little area of a buy zone, whether or not that will be the low of the move or we come down lower, that remains to be seen right now, right? That's why, buying here is just, you're getting higher risk as you come into that resistance this far off the turn. So you don't want to do that right now. So you could wait to see a break of that trend line. Then you should get price momentum going up with you. Otherwise, at this point, you're just holding off waiting until you come back down to a place in a little bit of a swing accumulation zone. Dave, good morning. Yeah, so by the way, this past week has been enormous blessing with the help of everyone moderating. And because I try to keep the channel clean, even the YouTube, there's all sorts of spammers out there. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and have to spend 15 minutes cleaning that spam first thing in the morning. That's been a lot less this past week. So I just want to thank everyone helping out with that. That is enormous, What else? Yeah, I saw Grayscale, by the way, made a huge purchase. I saw that on my Twitter feed. I probably should have retweeted that. But it was just some information I took in. That's a big deal. That's signal. That's going to continue. Let's get into FX. Let me see what's going on over here. I'm going to start with the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. And that is a nice gain here on the Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen. Just want to pull back over here. This is this tight channel over here. You could see it as well that you see on the equity markets that we're looking at. Very similar. This is the risk on, risk off pair. In this inflationary type environment, what makes more sense? A commodity currency or the yen, right? What is the Japanese? That's much more manufacturing, right? So you're seeing the Australian dollar really continuing to rise here versus the yen. Now the Japanese yen though, that's that risk off currency, and you're continually watching for signs that something's picking up in the market. The Australian dollar, Japanese yen is one of the first places that you would see that. So if we started seeing equities come off, and also we were seeing a strong bid into the yen, that might be a really strong sign that the market's worried about something for real, and we're going to see further downside pressure. Again, we haven't seen anything like that in a while. So I didn't know about that. That's awesome to see a bunch of ETFs popping up. David saying that a Swiss Bitcoin ETF started today. Now, I don't know how big that will be, that ETF, but I don't think that's not as big as the U.S. markets, but it's still nice to see, and that's something we're going to see a lot more of. When will be there be an ETF in the United States, or does it even matter if you have vehicles like MicroStrategy or Grayscale? Does it really matter if there's an ETF or not? So Australian dollar, Japanese yen looks good over here. Let's move over to the Australian dollar, US dollar over here. And this looks like it's in an interesting spot as well. The dollar we're seeing right now is a possibility getting ready to resume down. The Australian dollar has not resumed up yet versus it, right? Was this the low over here? Let me move this down. Was this the low over here, and was that the turn? Or as we come into this resistance right now, are we going to be able be rejected by it? So we'll see. I don't know, but just keep watching that. I actually want to watch that a little bit closer. What about the Euro US dollar? Let me check what I have green first over here. Let me come down to the green watch list over here from yesterday so we could start and make sure that we're just following everything that we are following. You can see since the pound US dollar has made that trend line break over here, it's a big trend line break. These trend line breaks are so important, right? You see that across all different time frames on every single different instrument. And the big moves, as you're seeing in crypto right now, especially on the altcoins, they're coming off their big trend line breaks. We know that Bitcoin had that huge trend line break well before any of the altcoins because we were tracking it, right? Do you remember that's where my focus was, on that trend line over there? That whole time my focus was on that trend line over there. And once we broke it, in this case you did have a breakout, a retest, resumption, but from the breakout of that trend line is when this monster move has started. And then you see those trend lines play out on all different time frames that are a big deal. Like this one was also. Do you remember this one over here, right? 19,000. Remember, right into that trend line, I went really big. And I knew that once we pulled back from it and then came back into it, that was the time really that we want to be looking to get long on Bitcoin. And there was another place that happened as well. That was right over here. That was this one over here. I really leaned into that one as well. You could see this is a pattern that you want to be following. That's what you want to be looking for. And right now, though, Bitcoin is just kind of like, let's call it orange, you know, a break above here will send it. But right now it's into that little bit of resistance. Let's keep going over here. Pound US dollar. With that in mind, that big trend line break, that's why I was pointing that out. And you can see that it is over here so far in this nice orderly channel. The next move on it looks like it's going to be into the resistance over there at 1.3785. Very, very bullish above this line of support over here. Any pullbacks into this trend line over here, you know, pound versus US dollar over here, in my opinion, is a place to look to pick up the sterling. Pound Japanese yen, let's take a look over here. It's coming into that resistance right now. It's coming into an area of resistance. And we'll say this is, you know, this is a big deal as it comes after breaking down here, coming in for that retest. Let me make this a little bit darker, because if it doesn't make the new swing high over here, then the pound Japanese yen might sell off a little bit. Let me go ahead and try and make that darker. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. So as we were rejected right over here right now and come back in, if we make the lower high into that resistance, then look for a move perhaps back even to the 139.80 support. What else? New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. This looks nice coming over. The support held over here. I could see possibly, I'm not trying to look for head and shoulders, right? But I could see the formation here. It looks a little weak, right? So I'm going to be watching that trend line over there. I'll make this trend line darker just as a reminder. And as long as we're above that trend line, we got to respect the support holding. But anytime we break below that, I'm going to be a little worried over here. Right? I guess that's intuition. I guess we'll just call that intuition because that's what's happening. Did we cover Ethereum? Yeah. We nailed it. I mean, we opened up with Ethereum, really. Ethereum definitely leading the way over here today. Printing new all-time highs on Bitstamp. But if you want to really, really, really get the juice, now go back and watch the pull back and watch the beginning of the live stream where we get into Ethereum, Bitcoin, how Ethereum is actually appreciating further against the US dollar than Bitcoin today. It's going for, you know, where do you want to focus? It's that I'm posing that question out to you. Like, where do you want to focus? Do you prefer to be trading altcoins versus Bitcoin right now, or altcoins versus the US dollar? And where is your greatest potential? So obviously, if you're growing a Bitcoin account, that account is going to appreciate further than if you were trading a dollar account, right? Could I explain what's going on with the GME? Nope. I do not know. No, I have no idea. Well, I don't know. Is it smart to sell your Ethereum right now? I don't know about that either, you know? Do people take profits onto these little jumps up over here? I mean, listen, the danger right now on Ethereum, the danger right now on Bitcoin, the danger right now on altcoins is when traders try to take profits. I've talked about what I believe to be, the best way to trade Ethereum and altcoins during this bull market, right? And that was to position into them and to hold them throughout the duration, exiting after you exit Bitcoin. You know, um, is there an Ethereum exchange shortage? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Is there a shortage of Ethereum at all? Right? What's the supply? I have no idea. Does anyone? No. So I can't answer that question. How do you know? So I don't think we're gonna see a shortage of Ethereum. So they're talking about possibly burning Ethereum in the future, huh? Burning for the use case of Ethereum, actually burning it from supply. And they're talking about eventually maybe Ethereum would be a deflationary type asset. That would be very interesting. I hope that could happen. I mean, the potential for Ethereum on so many different levels is absolutely mind-boggling. It's enormous. That's why there are people investing into Bitcoin. There's a ton of developers working on top of the chain, right? A ton of development happening on top of the chain. That's why it's not really a matter of whether Ethereum or Cardano is better. Ethereum has first mover advantage over here for the protocols, right? So that's what it's doing. Is it a good time to sell Ethereum? I mean, I really spend time researching the alt season, the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. You have to understand the bull phase, the bear phase, what causes each, and how altcoins react off of Bitcoin's 4-year cycle. There's a video on the Bitcoin playlist if you want to look at it. Phenomenal stuff about how to best trade alt season. And there are a lot of people selling Ethereum this morning, right? We might even get a nice pullback. But as price starts falling, they're going to be like, there's no way I'm buying because the Ethereum's now going down to $600. But never, so they're going to wind up buying back when Ethereum's trading at $1,700. The same thing's happening with Bitcoin. There's a lot of people, by the way, who have taken their Bitcoin out of play. They've transferred out of Bitcoin during this point of the bull market cycle. So there's a lot of people. Who just transferred out because they're worried about like some type of black swan event and would prefer to be out of Bitcoin in case the power goes out for who knows how long, right? But there's a satellite up in space that is, projecting down that Bitcoin blockchain. Whether or not the internet goes out, the Bitcoin is not. But that's not the point. The point is that as we break out over here to the upside, price could run really strongly towards the $54,000 to $64,000 level. And all those people out of Bitcoin right now, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to be forced to buy back in Bitcoin higher, as is everyone else. Do I like Monero's use case? Do I like Monero's use case? Not really. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough question, right? Obviously a huge advocate of privacy, but do you need to use Monero to hide your transactions just for the sake of privacy in that case? It's good to have the option. It's good to have the option to be able to use it, and you should have the option to use it. But, do you use something like Venmo? Some people might, I wouldn't. I don't, so it's up to you. I don't know. Well, I don't. Look, David, I'll talk about anything that's going to directly affect the markets. Do the vaccines right now come into play at all over here on the equity markets? Are the reasons stocks rising because of hopes of a vaccine? And if they want you to believe that, or are stocks and equities rising here because there's an enormous amount of money, being expanded here on the central bank's balance sheets, an enormous amount of QE taking place every month, $315 billion worth of QE taking place each month here in 2021. And is that why we're seeing all these assets rise? No, because QE is deflationary. No, no, really. All these rising prices, that's your imagination. That's your imagination. The CPI says inflation's not rising. Oh, okay. Let me not think for myself. Right? So if you think the reason the equity markets are rising have nothing to do with the vaccines, right? This is when the Fed injected 4.1 trillion dollars into the market. Oh, okay. So just let's be clear. It's not like, okay, here we handed it off to the vaccine, right? That like, oh, we're getting close to right around the November 20th, right? This is right around the election, right? This was the debate. The president's like, there's going to be a vaccine ready by the end of the year. No, that's not possible. Okay, here it is. And do you think the market doesn't really care? It has nothing to do with the vaccine. It has everything to do with QE. That's the markets, right? If you're focused on something else, you're missing the point of what supports the markets, what the markets are. And it's fascinating. That's why I'm here with you right now. It's fascinating. We talked about watching The Creature from Jekyll Island. Watch that movie. Start there. Absolutely amazing. Another one is the Zygist. What is it? The Zygist on money. I'm not sure. If anyone knows the title, please let me know. But as far as that the markets really they don't. That's not what the markets are. Our markets are focused on. The markets run on liquidity. The markets run on liquidity, right? So what else are we looking at over here? Um, Bitcoin still just getting blasted out of the water by all eyes on Ethereum. All eyes are on Ethereum, but should they be on something like Cardano, right? Or DOT? That's the question that you have to be asking yourself right now, as after doing all the work over here, right? These two have been consolidating, taking a break. Remember when price was peaking out on these, I said, now's when you're going to see profit taking. You want to wait for the pullback to get into these pairs. Well, here it's happening right now. I know most people are going to want to jump back in when price is up here. That's human nature. But right now, just visualize what's happening over here as you're getting the pullback, and understand that pullback could still yet be deeper. But right now, you're seeing pretty much probably the extension of this pullback. And if you get lucky, just be ready ahead of time. Ethereum is not when people should be buying this morning. There are a portion of people who will be taking profit somewhere up here on Ethereum, right? I don't, that's up to you and how you trade it. Just be careful if you're an investor. If you're an investor, be careful trading it, because you'll probably wind up buying back a lot higher. So some people took notice. Some people took notice when I said, going back over here when Bitcoin was trading at $19,000. Joshua, thanks for being here. I appreciate that. I'm going to come back into this 1 second, but I want to finish my thought first. We were into 19,000 over here, and I saw a price pull back, and I saw a price violently take it back. I then obviously changed my mind on Bitcoin and said, look, I'm not even going to try and trade it right now. The risk is to the upside. And I was very clear the risk was there. I was clear about that at 13 and 14,000 and all the way up, that the risk is to the upside. Some people didn't believe it back then. They wanted cheaper Bitcoin. They really did. They thought they were going to have that opportunity. Bitcoin, in my opinion, right now is cheap. Bitcoin, in my opinion, right now is cheap. People are going to be buying this back much higher than $37,000. For first time Ethereum and Bitcoin long-term investments today, I have no idea. Joshua, I would never, ever, ever tell you how to set your stop loss. Really. Where would I be setting my stop loss now? So on Bitcoin, I got, fully positioned in over here, just above 9,000, right? Just above 9,000. I got to add over here at 48,000 and 42,000. And I didn't have money on exchanges. I just didn't have any money on exchanges, and transferring it there. This was a big deal, as well as when we had other exchanges open up on Monday. But that being said, so I'm fully positioned in, and I was basically fully positioned in before that drop, right? So I was fully positioned in. Let's say, for example, that $10,000 is where I bought in. I was fully positioned in this whole drop, which is like a 60% drop. And I didn't sell my Bitcoin, but I didn't have the thought that I was going to sell Bitcoin down here. I had the thought I was doing everything in my power to be able to acquire more Bitcoin. That I was doing everything in my power to acquire more Bitcoin in that moment, right? So I didn't sell it then. You think I'm going to sell it now? I don't. What's my stop? You know, my stop is 0. I don't know what your stop is. You have to. That's what you have to realize. You have to figure out before you make an investment about what your risk is, right? How much could you lose? That's what you need to figure out before you make the investment. So you can't make the investment be like, I bought Ethereum or Bitcoin today. Where should my stop loss be? Well, how did you know how much to buy then? If you don't know where your stop is, how did you know how much to buy? Because you're probably way over positioned or under positioned right now, but you can't be correctly positioned. Yes, be relentless about learning. And thanks, Gene, for the reminder, because that's what I'm trying to do every day is learn. I'm trying to better myself each and every day, and day by day, it's all exponential. It just adds up. It's beautiful. Do we got 1,000 likes 2 days in a row? That would be absolutely astonishing. So grateful for everyone here today that has gone ahead. Wow, 923 likes. It's a big deal. There was a lot of information shared so far in this short session, right? We've been on for less than an hour. I would definitely say in this session that we just shared here together is a better education, although brief, than you would get anywhere else. Right? That's my opinion. So we'll see. Inflation will make Bitcoin higher or lower. So I looked at this video yesterday. Will a strong dollar hurt Bitcoin? You're asking the opposite about whether inflation will hurt the dollar. These videos I do, for example, on the dollar over here, I did a phenomenal video on the US dollar after the first of the year. It's a king dollar at a critical level because it's a dollar story. This video only got 11,000 views. This video is absolute fire, which is why I included it yesterday over here, a portion of that video for you to see that. You're not going to find that type of work anywhere else. I mean, you could follow those that the experts, let me name drop the experts, like Santiago Capital they have theories like the dollar milkshake theory, and you could follow them and you could be in for a world of hurt, at this point. That's been proven over 2020, but back when that was happening, that we were vocal about that. Like as it was unfolding and happening, we were very, very vocal that this is what's happening. And then over here, remember, like, no, it's a milkshake theory. Dollar's going to 105. No, right? So anyway, I don't know how we got over there, but that's where we got. Got to get those tacos. Could you follow them? Anyway, here we go. What's going on? DXY finding support in that little bit of a trend line. It's in this upward sloping channel right now. Until it breaks, there's a good chance this holds us support over here. This could very well hold us support over here. And if that happens, then we're targeting, I should move this over just a tiny bit, that circle, right? Targeting that area. That's all resistance on the way up. It's resistance coming from this narrow channel that's developing right over here that we're currently holding. And it's this big trend line resistance over there. Any break of this trend line over here is to what's set down the dollar. The dollar's not doing anything today. It's just fluctuating. Why it's in this upward sloping channel to the upside or downside. It's just fluctuating. It's not breaking one way or the other. Ethereum is breaking out today, right? It's up 12%, right? There's something happening in Ethereum, right? You can see it making that next leg up. You want to be preemptive of these legs up. You don't want to be chasing the legs up. How do you be preemptive? Look around and find out what is. Even Chainlink is also pulling back over here. It's consolidating pretty well and nicely. We already had a recent pullback, but again, it just pulled back. It's consolidating. Litecoin, everyone should be very, very familiar. Litecoin led the way, as it does every alt season. Litecoin picks up first, and Litecoin did pick up first, and you could see it come in over here, jump in from making that consolidation, jumping up a level. Trend line break, next level. That's what you want to be watching going up over here right now. So we never talked about it. I'm gonna talk about this right now because this could there's I don't know how many National Guard are in not only Washington D.C. but other areas of the country getting set for the 20th year of the that's tomorrow. So it's getting ready for the. Did Did you guys catch that? That's signal. That's signal. What signal? I don't even really care that tomorrow is the 20th and the ignore excuse my language, inauguration day. But I do care that there's 20. How many National Guard troops are deployed around the country right now, and in DC, where it's going to be a virtual event. There's not going to be anyone down there for the crowd, so it's a little strange that there's so many guards, that there. I don't know what that's about. Is that a risk event? The market doesn't seem to be really too concerned about it, so I'm not really too concerned about it. The market's aware of it. Everyone knows what's going on. And the market is not really showing any signs whatsoever of being concerned about it right now. So should you be concerned? Well, if you see the market doing something that it shouldn't be doing, right, around an event around just like a new president of the United States coming into power, that should not be a big deal for the markets. So 1,000 likes, 30,000 in DC, 30,000 people or 30,000 troops. I don't know how many it is. It's just a lot. It doesn't seem normal to me. I think there's more troops in Washington DC than is currently in Afghanistan. Is that correct? So, again, we're not. This is not something political. It's just what's happening in life. What's happening in life right now is tomorrow a new president is taking office. And there's not going to be anyone there, but there's going to be a lot of troops there. So that's what's happening. Is that a risk event? I don't think the market thinks it's a risk event. Are we going to see the markets crash tomorrow? I mean, listen, this is the thing about the markets. Anything could happen at any time. Is this something that you should have converted all of your Bitcoin into some type of stable coin and be huddled down with candles and food? I mean, not for me. I mean, maybe, but that's not where I'm going with it, right? But if you need to, you should already have everything like completely figured out for whatever investment you're in. If you're invested in Bitcoin right now, right, you should know exactly what your plan is if Bitcoin goes up to 50,000, up to 100, or up to $300,000. And you should also have a plan for what happens if Bitcoin all of a sudden goes down to $5,000. And those plans should also be dependent on why that price just went up or went down, right? So if Bitcoin spiked all of a sudden over the next 48 hours to $300,000, something's drastically wrong. There's no way I'm selling any Bitcoin ever, right? Adversely, if Bitcoin all of a sudden there was a bug in it that was irreversible, and then Bitcoin was all of a sudden crashing, and it was clear that like there was going to be no future Bitcoin, great experiment. At that point, do you get out and salvage what you have in the trade, or are you riding it out to zero? How well do you understand Bitcoin? It seems a lot less risky taking a position in Bitcoin in 2021 than it was in 2013. In 2013, it was really risky. Oh, but Tether. Oh, but they're going to make it illegal. Like, yeah, there's a wealth of information on all of this stuff. But if you're asking those questions, it's great you're asking those questions. Do the research, educate yourself, understand the investment. The more that you understand Bitcoin, it's going to reflect in how well or not you're invested into it. But everything else is everything else surrounded around that right now. Yeah, I mean, that was a big deal that just made Biff, Rob, and that's the whole thing that like basically anything you throw at Bitcoin is just going to make it tougher. If the US government were to make owning Bitcoin illegal, that would only make Bitcoin and the use case for Bitcoin stronger. So the question remains, and if you saw the interview, let me name drop, Anthony Papalano on Real Vision with Raoul Pal, highly recommend the interview. And in it, Anthony, I don't want to give away any spoilers, so you could close your ears if you're worried about hearing any type of spoiler. But he says, listen, I think the thing that I think that's going to happen that no one else thinks is that Bitcoin is going to become the world's reserve currency. I would like to have a conversation and understand why and how he believes that's going to play out. You know, do I think that there's a possibility that could happen? There's no possibility that my paper clips over here are going to be the world reserve currency. There is a slight possibility that it'll become Bitcoin. I placed it at 5 to 7%. Anthony's now is saying that he thinks it's going to happen. Great. I would like to know more. I would like how does that happen? How do central banks adopt Bitcoin and give up control? And why would central banks do that? Right? So Dave is asking, quick question, whether or not CTM is for intermediate traders as well as beginners. It's anywhere from someone who's an absolute beginner, has never even traded before, and someone who's been trading, full-time 15, 20 years. It's perfect for both. Yeah, and it's worked well for both. Yeah, so anyway, I would like to, you know what, rather than watching a movie, some movie, I'd rather listen to our podcast with Anthony speaking with someone and talking about how this actually takes place. It would be fascinating for myself. It would be fascinating if other people, were to go ahead and put their minds behind that, work that out and see what that would look like. I'd be very interested to know more. Maybe if I understood that better, maybe I would place the odds of that happening higher than 5 to 7%. Could you imagine if I valued, if I thought there was a 20% chance that the Bitcoin was going to become the U.S. world reserve currency? Would you be willing at all to part with any of your Bitcoin? Or would you be just looking to collect, to store more Bitcoin? Well, what would you do? Would you take profits at the top of this cycle? Another interesting dynamic of that conversation was Raoul Pal. He doesn't understand yet the 4-year cycle, but he kind of understands it. He just calls it an S curve, right? He looks at Bitcoin. More along the lines of like this. Like, let me go to a log chart. That's the best way to look at it. He's just looking at Bitcoin and its adoption of Bitcoin, and he's looking at it like that. And that's a really good way to look at it. It's a very basic way to say that it goes from bottom left to upper right. Why is that happening? That's what I wanted to know next. Why is that happening, right? But in which way? It's because of the 4-year cycle and these blue lines, these halving events that cause this price scarcity shock, right? And then it gets overdone. This increases adoption, by the way. And then you have this prolonged bear period over here. Trendline break sets off the next thing. It happens again. Again, price comes overdone. The amount of adoption that took place in 2017 in all the cryptocurrency was absolutely enormous. This was the adoption cycle that all of Wall Street watched and wished they were a part of, but they didn't. And they say they didn't, but they were. A lot of them bought Bitcoin at $2,000 and $3,000, sold it at $7,000 and $8,000 and thought they were a hero. And then as Bitcoin rose up past $10,000 and $15,000 and $20,000, they realized that they didn't understand Bitcoin. Back here, a lot of people like to walk into a room and been like, oh yeah, Bitcoin, I don't like it. That was their whole opinion on it. Oh, I don't like it. They just wanted to feel important by sharing an opinion, but they didn't understand Bitcoin at all. Now a lot of people took the time to understand it. Over here, as price discovery starts again, that trend line break over here setting up that next move, this all over here is going to look small soon. It's going to resemble much more of this. What you're looking at over here, this is what this is going to start looking like as price comes back over here. So where did we get to and why? Bitcoin, so listen, JC, just really keep it simple. It's just really the way I think. And people really got so caught up in these few 7 words on the white paper that says the subheading, a peer-to-peer, right, electronic form of payment. Well, the only way Bitcoin, there's nothing that could stop me and you from transferring Bitcoin with each other. We're peers, and nothing could stop us from doing that. No one could prevent us. No one could say we can or we can't do that. Now, the further the adoption of Bitcoin takes place, because right now very few people own Bitcoin. Once all of a sudden you got billions of people using Bitcoin, it's much more apt to be a peer-to-peer. If there's an advantage for me to send and receive Bitcoin from you directly, then I will do that, right? And if there's no advantage, well, then it doesn't need to function as that peer-to-peer electronic system right now. But this was fought out so hard that Bitcoin was forked into Bitcoin Cash. And the whole objective of Bitcoin Cash was not to be secure, but to have faster payments. And the market said, we're not interested in faster payments. We're interested in security. That's why Bitcoin is Bitcoin. All right, so what else are we looking at? One that we did make it to 1,000 likes, fire session, really grateful for that. What else do we want to cover? Do we want to do a thorough view of FX? Do we think that will offer any advantage right now? Let's look at the US dollar, the Money Masters. The Money Masters is the one. Thank you for that suggestion. That was one of the ones. That was one of my first red pills. The Money Masters. You know, is that the Zygus Money Masters? Maybe. But that was one of my first red pills. And without understanding, if without understanding money, where money comes from, and who controls it, you can't be involved in the markets. This is markets 101. If you're attracted to the markets, if stocks got you attracted to the markets because you saw Tesla rising like a rocket in 2020, and Tesla rose like a rocket. Shout out to Andreas, who really, this is what's going on over here. This is on my log chart. Gotta get off that log chart over here. Go back over here to auto. There we go. I think that messed up the whole lines. Let me just go back. I don't mean to keep this no nonsense. I don't even know why I just got on Tesla, because Tesla attracted a lot of people into the markets. By the way, oh, this is on log chart again. Anyway, I'm just gonna remove these lines, keep my charts nice and neat as we move forward from this point on. And that's probably why I just got stuck here right now, but it's got to adapt to whatever is going on. That's what traders do. They just adapt, right? So anyway, this is where I was unsure of Tesla. This is, remember, I was unsure of Tesla, and I should have been, talking about people leaning in when it was time to lean in. But the reason I wasn't focused on Tesla is because I was more focused on what mattered, and that was Bitcoin being Bitcoin. Tesla over here right now, though, you could see over here, is consolidating back. A break above here, so it continues to send Tesla up. Equity markets look pretty good over here. They continue to look good over here. It's that I want everyone to focus over here on this channel very clearly, right, that we're in. And until we break down out of there, we're just looking for up. The most likely breakdown of this channel, right, would be, or the one the easiest to play, would be if we broke out to the upside. If we broke out to the upside, that's when we'd be looking for this to peak, and that would be looking for the interim top to go ahead and accumulate back into. But right now, taking a position in equity markets, I don't see it. Tesla was, I think, the year of 2020. Will Tesla outperform Bitcoin in 2021? I mean, that's up for you to decide. I know I have some close friends who, by a stroke of luck, did really well on Tesla last year. They really they bought the car, they fell in love with the car, they became a Tesla fanboy and bought the stock, and then the stock just went bazooka, and they made a bunch of money in their retirement accounts, right? But then they realized, wait a second, and they were watching Bitcoin. They were watching it around $20,000. Coming up to $23,000 and $24,000, and a lot of them were able to make that jump over, at least with a decent position into Bitcoin as well. And there's a lot of people positioned really well into Bitcoin, and we're gonna start seeing Bitcoin. You notice that it's not on the TV channels. It's not Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is trading at $37,000. It's not going to be like that until Bitcoin's trading above $160,000. That's when people are going to start really going bonkers. 100,000, that's a big milestone, but that's, in my opinion, and just my opinion, right? And I could talk about I've been talking about what my opinion has been on this for a long time, right? So I feel free to share that with y'all. My opinion, $100,000. That's not that's just like a check box for Bitcoin right now. So we'll see. Cardano looks like it's very much set up over here, and because Cardano led with DOT over the weekend, and why that was happening on that video I put out on Saturday, I said, listen, you want to wait for that consolidation, you want to wait for that pullback to develop, and then you want to get involved. what's happening? It's very tight and orderly. It's very bullish over here. It's very bullish. If you come back and look at Dot had a much steeper pullback, but Dot actually appreciated way more. So which one looks more attractive to you right now? Which one looks more attractive to you? Remember, Ethereum was just consolidating very much like Cardano looks like right now. This was Ethereum consolidating right near that all-time high. Remember, Bitcoin had that deeper pullback. Bitcoin had that deeper pullback, and it's taking it longer over here to finish consolidating and then make its next leg up. Now, its next leg up may be enormous, right? And I expect it to be. Now, when that happens and when it makes it, are we going to make that today? Or are we going to be making that, into February over the next couple of weeks? I have no idea, but this looks like where we're headed right now. And once it does, I think that it's really going to get going over here. And then you'll see some profit taking coming into the market, on Ethereum. And what's starting right now is that dance between Bitcoin. Then, after Bitcoin makes a move up and starts consolidating, money flows through the rest of the alts, through mid-cap alts, and then all the way back into like the higher cap, like Litecoin, and into Ethereum, and you're seeing that dance, that alt season dance take place right now. It's beautiful because this is really the first good one. We were waiting for that consolidation on Bitcoin. I mean, this is not consolidation. That's a big pullback. That's a 30% pullback on Bitcoin. I'm glad it happened. I never made a big deal about it, and the only reason, because when I say never made a big deal about it, I kept saying the whole way up, we're not seeing 30% pullbacks. We're only seeing 20% pullbacks. We're seeing, a couple of 20% pullbacks and a 16.5% pullback. I have to pay attention to what the market is showing me. At the same time, I'm still ready for 30% plus pullbacks at all times. And that's how my mindset is set for this bull market. That's why as price came back, this 27, 28%, all of you that weekend or it was a Monday, the first Monday I couldn't be there. Everyone was leaning into that with calmness and just being like, I was expecting this. This is happening right now. I feel pretty comfortable. Like, not that it's easy. There's not that it's easy to be able to hold through any 30% drawdown, especially when it's a significant position. You much rather seeing that go up 5, 10, 15%. 20%. You keep going up. That feels good when it's green. And as price comes off on a stiff, quick correction, if you think that you're all steady, you're not, right? But you had a much more confidence, much more clarity about it than in the past. Let me jump over to real time today. That's it. Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow, Rob. Much love. Thanks for the session. 1,100 likes. That's a good one. That's a good one. What's going on? Are we going to keep going over here? Is there anything we want to look at before we get off? I'm in no rush, right? But let's see what else is going on over there. Bitcoin rising wedge on a 1-hour chart. You saw me over the weekend updating you on the 2-hour chart just to try to give you a detailed view of what was going on what it doesn't look any different to me here on the 1-hour chart, right? Than it does on this daily chart that I was just looking. And just what I'm focused on is that resistance over here. Do you want to try to trade Bitcoin inside this channel? No, you don't want to trade inside the channel, right? You could trade it as it comes back down. If it touches down over to this area of support over here, should you be looking to sell Bitcoin here? Sell Bitcoin here? No, right? Should you be looking to buy Bitcoin here? No, right? I don't want to buy Bitcoin into that resistance. Much better for it to get above. Higher probability of it continuing once it gets above or if it comes down below. Alan, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're going to call it a session. It was a good one. Thanks for being here. If you haven't yet subscribed, we do this every day, Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Afternoon uploads Monday through Thursday. It is an enormous help to myself, to this channel, when you go ahead and smash that like button on those videos. it really helps them get seen. It makes the community what it is. And I just want to say thank you again for doing that. Amazing. 1,100 likes. Absolutely phenomenal. Thank you, everyone. What a fun session. What a great way to start the morning. You guys definitely just keep just bringing me up all the time. So grateful for all of you. Have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon.